Okay, guys, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back. We're after Thanksgiving. We're going to be talking about chapter 5. We're going to be in lesson 4, a thing called terminating and repeating decimals. We're certainly going to need our calculator, so go ahead and turn it on. And I'm going to hold the on and the clear button. I'm going to clear the memory, clean it out, hit clear. We're good to go there. Um, so today's an interesting lesson. The first part was absolute value, ordering and comparing integers. Now we're going to take it a step further. And we're going to talk a little bit about rational numbers and how they terminate and they repeat decimals. First off, what is a rational number? Okay, and a rational number really is any number that can be put in fraction form. So let's get a couple examples here on our scratch paper. If I give you the number 7, can I put that in a fraction? Sure can. 7 over 1. If I give you a decimal of 75 hundredths, could I put that in rational form? And really it's A over B, and B can't equal 0. B is the bottom number of the denominator, but sure, 75 hundredths is 7,500, and that reduces down to 3/4, right? And again, it has to be A over B form. If I gave you 4.5, if I said put that in as a rational number, we would switch that to an improper fraction. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9 over 2. So rational, rational, rational. All right. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be changing a lot of fractions to decimals, and we're going to identify if they're terminating or a repeating decimal. A terminating decimal is a decimal that stops. So let's go ahead and get an example of that. If I gave you the fraction, and then I'll give you the fraction of 1 n over d, 4, we go to the right. And if I change that to a decimal, second n over d, fraction to decimal or decimal to fraction, you see, and just hit enter, we get 25 hundredths. So we know that 1/4 is 25 hundredths. That's what we call a terminating decimal. Terminate means to stop. Okay. Now, an example of a repeating decimal, and I'll give you a few, is probably the most common one we have is 1/3, and I'll go ahead and plug that into my calculator. So it's nice to have that. But 1 n over d, 3. I go to the right, and I just hit second n over d. That's going to take it from a fraction to a decimal, and there it is. You see, it goes threes forever, and we write that with bar notation. And that bar means that 3 carries on forever, for infinity. It will never stop if we divide that out, okay? Now, another repeating decimal that we would have that's also a rational number is 5, 6. 5, 6. And let's plug 5, 6 in, and let's see how that's a little bit different than 1/3 as a repeater. So 5 n over d, 6. Let's go to the right. Hit second n over d, right? And let's see what happens. You're going to notice what happens. 0.8333333 forever. So that is also a rational number, but we want to write that a little bit different with a bar just over the 3, because the 3 is the only digit that repeats here, not the 8. So when we're writing bar notation, the bar only goes over the digit or digits that would repeat. And we could run into that scenario as well. Okay. All right, so let's get into this thing a little bit. Just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of background here. We could get in here, and I guess we probably should circle up here. So give me a second here to find that. I forgot about that. So I'll pull it up real quick on my computer, and this is in the Schoology. So you should be in good shape, but let's go ahead and get circled up. So let's go to the homework page, and we're going to go 1 to 16. And this is primarily calculator driven. All right. And I like to circle them. You know that. So I don't make the mistake. Right. And there they are. So basically, we're doing that first page. Okay. And then we're going to jump to 22 and actually 23 through 42. So we got them all, basically. Okay. We're just skipping a few problems. So let's get these circled. Again, calculator, calculator, calculator. If you don't have a calculator, don't even try and do it, because the reason is it would take you hours to do this. That's why I've given you a calculator and supplied that. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump to this page, which is right here. I'm going to pull this back up so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. And we're going to be ready to go. Write each fraction as a decimal. Use bar notation if necessary. Okay. So let's go ahead. It's a lot of calculators. 7/9 to the right. Second n over d. And there it is. Now, your calculator does something unique here. We're going to talk about this, but this is 7/10 repeating. Look what it did here. It put an 8 at the end, you see. So we went 777, and then it truncated. It rounded for us, you see. So it rounded it. We just ran out of digits on the screen. So the answer is 7/10 repeating, but your calculator rounded it at the end, and that's what happened there. Okay, next one. All right, is 1 n over d, 33, go to the right, and then switch it. And there it is. Uh-oh, a little bit different. But look, we have a negative in front of that, so we're going to preface that with a negative. And we have 0, 3, 0, 3 repeating. So the bar in this case goes over both digits, right? Okay. So let's continue on to number 3. We know 3 is going to be a negative. I know it's going to have the whole number of 2. And what I'm going to do is just change 5, 6. So there's 2 ways to do this, and I'll show you both ways. We could just take 5, 6 and change it to a decimal and get 83 hundredths, which we started with 1 with the 3 repeating, you see. Or I could plug the whole thing into, we know it's a negative, right? 2, and then I have to use that UN over D button, right? And then I'm going to go 5 down, 6 to the right. So if I want to switch that to a decimal, and there it is. So either way, we're going to get the same thing. I just didn't want to use that UN over D button. Okay. 10/15. Okay. You should be getting the hang of this, right? And you'll see that 10/15 is what? 6/10 repeating. And you know, 10/15 will go down to 2/3. Divided by 5 is 2. Divided by 5 is 3. 2/3 is another very common fraction. The more you use this calculator, the more you'll acknowledge that. 4/5 is one that a lot of you already know. We know it's a negative because the negative's out front, so let's preface it with that. Switch it, and we end up with 8/10, correct? So that's a terminating, repeating, repeating, and the last one was a repeating decimal. Okay, let's keep going. 1 and 5/9, 1, U, N over D, 5, down arrow, 9 to the right. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit second N over D, and there it is. 1 and 5/10 repeating. The bar only goes over the 5. Okay, all right. So let's take a look at number 7. Dana bought 2/3 yard fabric to make a new purse. Write the amount of fabric as a decimal. Well, 2/3 we found out was number 4 was 10/15 reduced, and I'm going to refer back to that. Okay, so it is 6/10 repeating. Yard. Make sure you label that. Okay, so it's a lot of calculator usage. The focal point of the lesson is writing in bar notation, and that's very important that you acknowledge that. Okay, so that's the deal. All right, we just did 7 together. I'll maybe do 2 more here and let you take a look at these. Okay, 7/15, change it to a decimal, and it's a little unique one. It's 46 hundredths with the 6 repeating. Number 4, I'm going to go ahead and preface it with a 0, right? 6/7 to the right, second N over D. Oh, look at that. So look what we have. 8, 5, 7, 1, 4, 2. Then it starts to repeat at the 8. So how would I write that? Well, I would write that as 8, 5, 7, 1, 4, 2. Okay, and there they are. Now, I'm not going to write that 8 again. What I'm going to do is put a bar over that. Okay, a bar over that, because that's what repeats. Good question there. Serafina had 34 out of 99 hits when she was at bat during the softball season. What was her batting average? Well, to find batting average, we take 34 out of 99. And all we're going to do is really switch that to a decimal, right? And again, this would take forever without a calculator. So there we are. And it's 34 hundredths, right? So what is her batting average? All right, well, let's talk about this for a second. Okay, it's 34 hundredths repeating. All right. Now, usually a batting average goes 3 places, but we're just switching it to a decimal. Okay. All right, guys, that's that. That's about 10 minutes. So hopefully you got that understood and hopefully you have your calculator. Thanks. Bye bye.